What about this, though?
What about this?
I already started. Hey, what up, losers?
Hey. Jackson's looking at stat sheets.
I think our new fan base... Let's be honest. Welcome to TheWordPool. I think that we all should come to grips with the fact that we've all made mistakes. We all have. We all have.
Yeah, I agree. We've all made mistakes.
We've all made mistakes, and some are bigger than others. Can we not agree on this point? Some are bigger than others.
So good. Everything you've said cannot be disagreed upon.
Thank you. And to further my point, I'd like to say that our fans have made actions that don't good, as it are. We have not made decisions that are bad. We've made good ones, and we've made bad ones, right? We've made some pretty bad ones in the last 5 months. I gotta say that. We haven't been consistent, and I apologize. But also, who watches this show? Who? If you watch the show, raise your hand. See? That's what I'm talking about.
If this video gets to 100 views, we will make them weekly. But until then,
it's at our discretion, and you will like it.
Until then, it doesn't matter. So we're just going to make them whenever. So if you want the show to continue at a regular pace, share it with your friends. And if you don't have friends, throw it on Facebook.
Share it with your friends. Share it with your significant other. Share it with your aunts.
Uncles.
No, uncles? No. Don't share it with your
uncles.
What about
grandpas?
Because uncles are kind of creepy. At least
what
in my
uncles
experience.
Do you have?
Well, it's not the ones that I have. It's just that the fact
it's the one that I had.
Oh, that's rude. Okay. Oh, ooh, okay. So we're starting on that. Okay. Right. So we got a couple things that we can talk about today. I wrote some stuff down. I'll continue to write some down. So you can actually take notes if you think of stuff while we're talking here. Because we gotta go back old school. We gotta rework this show to produce a good list of things to talk about, a good stature of how we talk about things. But I think the first thing, let's start off nice and soft. Okay, let's start off with things that have happened in the past couple months. Let's start off soft.
We got so many.
World War III.
Wow. Okay.
World War III did occur while we were gone. But luckily, Iran was destroyed. Wait, I don't want to say that because now what if my house gets blown up?
They don't know our address.
They can find out. There's a thing called an IP address.
Shoot. Oh, well. See ya.
What if I said I'm Iranian this whole time? I'm undercover in America. Anyway. So, yeah, I think that's the end of the podcast. Thank you guys so much for what...
Nah, dude, we can't end yet.
Anyway, what did you...
haven't said anything.
So what about World War III?
World War III happened a while ago, but...
Happened in January. We gotta catch everybody up.
Yeah, it's true. Because, just like us, they didn't actually do anything during the month of January.
It was all just a big threat. And the thing is that we had New Year's on the 1st. And then, obviously. And then we had... what happened on the 2nd? Oh, the 2nd was World War III. Mm-hmm. And then the 3rd day was the fires in Australia. And the 4th day was something that we'll get into in a minute, the coronavirus. So let's start with World War III. Opening thoughts.
World War III was a fantastic meme, but in actuality, it was probably kind of scary.
I mean, there was a definite possibility, but I mean, if it would have happened, I feel like it would have happened. The week we found out about it.
I don't know. It's very interesting because I feel like the other world wars would have been a lot worse by comparison, just because of the way modern technology works and how wars are going to be waged from here on out. It would have been a lot different.
I think it would have been a faster war than ever before.
Oh, absolutely.
It would have been a faster war. Most of it would have been a digital war, and also, it wouldn't have affected us a lot of different ways, because number one, we wouldn't have got drafted because they sent out the call as if you needed to be, but also they have so many reserves that it would have never gone to us anyway, because fighting is not the same as it used to be.
No, it is not. I mean, it's a lot less manpower and not more like technical expertise, so to speak.
So I'm just doing some research. I'm trying to figure out what movies came out in 2020, because I guess that's our shtick. That's what we do every episode.
Movies.
We talk about movies.
I mean, I do like movies a lot.
Did we see anything this year so far?
Doolittle
came out, but we didn't watch it. I kind of wanted to watch it.
Yeah, me too. Why didn't we do that?
Well, because I heard it was garbage.
When has that ever stopped anybody?
Well, because I saw what's his name? Robert Downey Garbage, and I saw him Robert Downey, not Iron Man anymore. I saw him on the trailer, and then I saw him on the JRE, Joe Rogan podcast, Joe Rogan Experience, excuse me. And I saw
they talked about him, or he was like there.
Yeah, he was there, and they had like a 2.5 hour, 3 hour discussion, and he was there to promote the movie, so he talked a lot about it, and he made it sound like it was going to be this real cool thing, but also they talked about the fact that it was kind of a filler role while he's doing a bunch of little movies until maybe he works his way back up to the MCU for them to do something with him. So he said that, and then the movie came out that week, and then it bombed. And so he basically called out the fact that he knew he was making a not so great movie. So that was Doolittle, and then there haven't been a lot of things to come out in 2020. But the problem is that they weren't good. Nothing was really good. But there's a lot of stuff that I haven't seen that I kind of wanted to. Doolittle was one of them. Gretel and Hansel was one of them, and that one would have been cool because it's the story of Hansel and Gretel. But there's a focus on the girl, and she has more to it than just the main story. Like it goes on with her.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounded interesting, but I don't know. Sometimes I hear these topics for these movies, and I just lose interest because I don't know. I feel like I know that's a new take on the Hansel and Gretel story, but I don't know. To me, it's been overdone to an extent, just because it's in a lot of different stuff, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's a trend to do the.
And not only is it in a lot of stuff, but it's also just like a theme, like it's alluded to in a lot of stuff. So it feels like it's a topic or a story that's just been explored to an extreme extent, and it's hard for my brain to be like, yeah, I want to go see this again, even though I know that it's gonna be like a different take on it. It's still hard for my brain to be like, yeah, I want to go see this again.
I mean, counter to that, if you'll so have me.
I did a wave motion with my hands.
Don't we both agree that Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man, is the same thing as that, but we both like those movies because they tried to take a change to it?
That is true, but at the same time, those movies came out when we were younger.
Yeah.
For like
8 years ago.
I don't know. And especially, and then Spider-Man's different because like Spider-Man to me, it's like I'll probably always go see a Spider-Man movie because I like Spider-Man. But the thing is about Hansel and Gretel that I don't like Hansel and Gretel like bleh. I don't like Hansel and Gretel like I like Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a home. Well, Spider-Man. I mean, all those Marvel stuff incorporates Grimm's fairy tales because isn't the comparison like they're the modern day Greek myths and legends? Like that's what
I've
are.
heard that. I think I've heard that comparison before.
Because like that's the whole thing is that they will. Oh shoot! Really? Okay, sorry. I just saw something that's
for real.
Cool. But yeah. So I think that that movie series, like the Spider-Man movies, I like the turn that they took with it. I like that they were brave enough to go in a direction, even if it didn't pan out right. There was probably a bunch of technical reasons why it didn't pan out right, and yeah, that probably speaks to that. Okay, so now we're just looking at movies. No. So please be with us as we take a 15-minute break. Oh, okay. You're still there?
So right. What were you looking at on this list?
Well, I'm just looking kind of ahead. So anyway, we had Birds of Prey. I really want to see Birds of Prey. I think after today, because it's the last day of February, also a leap year. I think.
Hashtag leap year. Yay!
I think Birds of Prey will be out of theaters by tomorrow, just because that's how that works. It's been 3-4 weeks, and it didn't pull in as much as they thought it would. Really sad that it didn't pull in the numbers it didn't, or that they thought it was going to pull. But I wanted to see it. I never had time to go see it. I never planned out to go see it.
I don't know. For me, it was just never. I don't know. DC movies for me. Like, I really like DC comics. I've read their comics. I love their animated stuff. But, like, their movies are just never quite what I want them to be. The last good DC movie that I watched was, gosh, what was it? It was, like, Shazam. Shazam was a good movie. Because
Shazam
I feel like it wasn't trying.
Joker.
I don't count that one just because it's so radically different.
Yeah, but it's made by the same studio.
I mean, yeah, that's true, but it's not this. It's not, to me, that's not a superhero movie. Not even close. That's like what I'm categorizing it as. The Joker was a very good movie, but did we talk about that? I feel like we had to.
Joker? I don't remember.
Nah, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. We're doing other stuff now. I did think it was kind of cool when we saw It Chapter 2 that they did a whole commercial with Harley Quinn, like the balloon coming up as if the movie had started, and she pops it with her bat. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, she said something like clowns are stupid too.
Yeah, and it was a cool marketing play. I mean, I think that they had good marketing for the movie. I just think that
I feel like
people are burnt out, and it also is a direct comparison to Deadpool. So people probably knew that they were just like trying to redo this.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel like the factor of like people are just tired of losing faith in DC movies, basically, like going to the movies and then just being let down over and over again. I feel like it's definitely hurt their prospects, because even though because Birds of Prey, you said it didn't do great, but like it did okay, right?
Okay, so they had hold on, I gotta pull up the actual thing. Oh, there is a movie that we need to talk about. Let's sidestep this while I pull up more information about Birds of Prey. Let's talk about Cats. Cats is the biggest disappointment, because I don't know when that.
I don't even know if you can call it a disappointment, because to be a disappointment, you had to have expectations to begin with.
No, well, I think it's crazy because that movie came out in December. It came out in December, but we didn't. I don't think we talked about it because it was already coming out. But they had a budget of 80 to 100 million, and they only made 74. And at the time, that's pretty bad. But it was even worse because I think at the time, like in January, they must have stretched this movie's release, because in January, like late January, it had a budget of 80 to 100, and it made like 15 or 20. And that would have been huge. Like I almost think they inflated this number just to make it sound a little bit better, because this movie underperformed so much that it was a crazy deal. And it's because in the Broadway world, this musical is like one of the greats. And,
it's a good musical. I've even seen the musical actually, just live, and it was really good. But this movie is,
because apparently the movie tried to, and I haven't seen the movie, but I think the movie tried to capture upon some of the themes that really you can only show in a medium like Broadway. So then when they performed it for a camera to be projected to other people, it didn't go out so well. But
yeah, I don't know. It didn't take. That's my take.
Anyway, so back to Birds of Prey. It had a budget of 82 to 100 million, and it made 179.5. That's okay.
It's not bad.
Overall, it's a loss because they wanted like 300 million or whatever.
I mean, I don't know. That's a lot to expect. I don't know. It's the DC reputation is definitely hurting them after a certain point, because no matter what kind of good movies they make, they're always going to be that person that's like, oh, I don't want to watch this because it's a DC movie, you know?
Yeah, and I'm trying to look this up. There was a Birds of Prey name change because they wanted to capture upon the idea of Harley Quinn being the main thing.
Yeah, I felt like at first it was like Harley Quinn in the Birds of Prey. Like it was like her name first and then the rest of them.
But now I'm reading an article right here that says they didn't. That was a rumor. But I definitely, whether or not they changed the name directly, it needs to be said that a lot of people went and saw the movie because obviously Margot Robbie, she's not ugly, and she's playing Harley Quinn. So they when the movie started to fail altogether, they started pushing her as the star because they knew they could pull some people on sex appeal. And I mean, it kind of worked, but
yeah, it's kind of a cheap trick.
I mean, they still did it. I mean, that's kind of the thing that you can rely upon with Harley Quinn, is that a lot of people will go see her because of that aspect of her character. So, one way or the other, let's see if I can find this. Warner Brother hasn't changed the name of Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn to Harley Quinn Birds of Prey. An individual with knowledge at the studio told The Wrap. So, maybe they didn't, but a lot of theaters have shortened the name because they don't want to put that whole title in there. I don't know. I'll definitely see it when it's a rental, but...
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want to watch it just because, I don't know, Birds of Prey, like, I know what it's about because I knew about it before, and I don't know, it's an interesting concept, but, like, I don't know. I guess it's just not for me.
Yeah, I mean, I would want to go see it. I want to go see it just to see the actresses, because I think, like, the story may not be right, but I think they had a good cast for it, besides just Margot. But yeah, and a bunch of them were... Oh, Ali Wong, that's a comedian. A bunch of them... Ewan McGregor. Yeah, this is a good cast. This is a good
never
cast.
mind, I'll see it.
This is a good cast. Anyway,
Mr. Obi-Wan Kenobi himself.
Basically, they paired like well-known actors with rising ones. That's a cool
yeah, that's a good idea. I like that.
Anyway, so after Birds of Prey, looking at February, you had To All the Boys I Love Before, the sequel. Ugh. I mean, we don't like it, but I'm sure a lot do. I wonder... This is the dumb thing with Netflix movies, is that you can't see how they perform because Netflix hides all their stuff like that. So you can't... Like, we know the movie cost them $18 million, but we don't know what they'll make.
I feel like it had to have made more than that.
Well, I guess it depends on... That's actually a really good question. How do they pay out the movies? Because they
'Cause,
make the movies. They make the movies.
I don't know. It's weird because I remember Irishman, which was a weird.
Yeah, but Irishman had a theatrical release.
Yeah,
too.
that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I was getting to. It had a theatrical release, so I don't know if the budget is gonna be displayed based on just like what it grossed in from the. Yeah, so I guess because they don't go to the theater, they don't have any kind of box office.
Yeah.
So although that like the budget box office for Irishman looks really bad, it probably isn't actually that bad.
Yeah, 159 over 8. But see, the thing is though, I don't know about these Netflix movies because how are they shelling out the money for each one? Now here's my idea behind it to answer my own question. YouTube Premium pays out, like the way that it works is you pay $10 a month, you get ad free. So in order to compensate for the ad revenue that these people would be getting, they pay out everyone that you watch per month. And then the person that you watch the most gets your highest percentage of money given to them. So a lot of people that watch Philip DeFranco every day for months and months and months, he's generating a lot of the YouTube Premium revenue for like most of that money, percentage wise to him. So I guess they could do that with Netflix if they say, well, if we're getting $700 billion a month or whatever it is, and we divide it among every TV show, if this movie made a bunch, then they're gonna get a bunch of money that month or whatever it is.
I mean that's true. I don't know. It's a different.
Netflix is a weird game because you can make a movie so easily, but then the payout is gonna go on forever.
Like I don't know.
They probably make.
Like here's the weird thing about
money
Netflix is that like with the Oscars, that little show about how movies are good and stuff.
I can't believe it's called the Oscars. Who calls their show?
Everybody calls it the Oscars. I don't get how you thought it was called something else.
No, I didn't think it was called something else.
Like
I've always called it the Oscars, but then like we were talking about it and that name clicked in my head and I was like, that's so stupid. The Oscars.
Well, I mean, what about the other? Never mind. Let's not get on that.
It's like when you look at a word for long enough and so it becomes part of your thing, and then one day you just actually look at the word and you analyze it and you're like, that is spelled that way. That's so weird.
But anyway, I feel like with Netflix it's weird because when a movie wins an Oscar, people will go back to watch it. But the thing is that normally they're rentable at that point. But with Netflix movies, they're not like that. Because the Irishman, it won an Oscar, I think, for, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. But they won something. They got nominated. And I feel like what am I trying to say?
It received 10 nominations at the Oscars.
Yeah. I feel like they would get so much revenue for that movie, but not get any extra money. Like, so many more people will watch the movie after it's won Oscars because they're like, oh, this is a good movie, I want to check it out. But they're not gonna get more money, they're just gonna get more views of The Irishman. So I don't know how that plays into anything.
Well, what I would want to know then is, because the way you get paid in the industry without digital entertainment is that once it goes to DVD, every time someone buys a DVD, like so let's say you buy it at retail price, so the movie's worth $20, you pay $20 for it. Somewhere to around 90% of that $20 is going to go back to the DVD makers in the studio, and then so 45 each. Let's just say roughly even numbers. This is impossible math, but even numbers split across 45, and then the 10% gets split among the cast. So every year or every month or however they pay these people, you're going to get a check from your studio from the DVDs purchased across everywhere.
Yeah.
That says, like, here's the movie that you made. If it's a really popular movie, you made like a couple grand that month or whatever it is from that movie. Now, digitally speaking, it can work the same way, but I can't imagine the payout being the same or bigger, because that movie is always accessible and the views are going to be constant per month, especially if it does really well. So who knows? I imagine there has to be a balance where if you can access it easier and it's easier to put it on the platform, then the payout has to be smaller or something.
I don't know. It's a confusing concept to me because now that you bring it up, I have no idea like how those movies make money. Like, they go on Netflix, people watch them, but at the same time people watch a ton of stuff on Netflix.
Well, it's because it's how the money gets divvied out at the end of every month, because it's the reason why Netflix gets $700 billion a month, and they are still losing money in terms of stock and in terms of their whole companies going down. The reason is because they have to pay for so many things at once per month that even all of that $700 billion is not getting used correctly, because Netflix is perfected at giving a good service, but monetarily speaking, it will hurt them in the end, because every month they have to pay for every contract that they've made with other studios for TV shows and movies that aren't Netflix owned. Mm-hmm. So The Office is going to shell out a bunch because it's a well-known, well-liked thing, which is probably why Netflix lost it in the end, because they didn't want to keep bidding on the contract for the next couple of years. They're losing Friends too. Friends also took a large sum of money, and just anything else that you can think of, like Kung Fu Panda, if that's on there. All the Disney movies that used to be on there took a lot of money. Every month, those have to be shelled out their amount of money to be given back to the studio and all that. Then they have to pay for running the site itself and all their servers, and then they have to pay for every movie and every project that they make, which each one is going to cost several $1 million. Then they have to repay everyone that works for Netflix. It's just a big deal. Like, they have to have people that know how to use money, or else that company would have flopped years and years ago. But their goal in the end is to make such a good name for their own brand that they have so many Netflix originals that they end up paying themselves back every year by only having their service instead of paying for other people's content on the site. Which, 6 years ago, that was a horrendous concept because there was no Netflix originals. But now it's starting to circulate better. They're starting to put newer, cleaner content on there. And especially with this comedy special idea, making Netflix the home for comedy specials, even if they have to cut everything else on the platform, if Netflix just became a place for comedy, they would survive forever, because it's perfect for comedy to have online forums like that, and they can make deals for people just to record their set of an hour and then just put it on Netflix. That's perfect.
Yeah, it is a really good deal for them.
So Netflix knows what to do. Netflix can probably stay afloat for a couple more years. They're not going to die out to Disney Plus as fast as people might think, and especially as I think, because I think Disney Plus may tank within the next couple of years. But I think Disney Plus is running on some very shallow waters.
Yeah, especially because the idea and concept was so good, because everyone was like, oh, you get to watch all these old Disney movies, but once you realize that it's been out for a few months, it's like, oh, there isn't actually a lot to watch here.
Well, you know? I said this a couple months ago, or when we did the last podcast. I said this. They banked on nostalgia, which everyone knew this going into it. They banked on nostalgia and people's interest in having an easy access to Disney, because Disney has taken up so much of people's lives. Now, that works. It doesn't work. I think Disney knows it doesn't work long term, because they're smart people, obviously. So they realize that this isn't going to work for a long time, but yet they countered themselves when they made the price so cheap for people to buy the yearly option, which saves them so much money. They buy the yearly option, and then at the end of the year, they're going to get the people who don't turn off auto renewal, so they'll get charged again. Then they're going to get the people that like certain shows and want to keep doing it into their renewal, and then a lot of people will drop out after the first year because they'll notice there's not a lot of content. Like right now, Mandalorian got a lot of people into Disney Plus, and it is so dirty of them, but also so smart of them to make sure that the season doesn't come out until November, because that means in order to finish it, you have to renew.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
I thought that as soon as season 1 ended, because I looked up when the next one was. They said mid to late November, and so the idea is you'll get a couple episodes a week, but they will make sure that there's a hiatus or something to where you have to keep paying for it in January. And same thing with anything that they put out. And a lot of shows have been put on Disney Plus that can get a bunch of audience members, but nothing as big as Mandalorian so far, where you're going to get everyone on the site.
I mean, that's definitely true, because I feel like Mandalorian appeals not only to Star Wars fans, but just fans of kind of action-adventure shows, because it's such a good, well-written
it's well-made,
show.
Yeah.
Like, because Clone Wars Season 7 is super exciting, because it's the first time we've gotten more Clone Wars content in a few years. I don't know exactly, but I don't know, it's really... I don't know. I haven't personally gotten around to watching the first 2 episodes, but like I want to, and that's exciting for me. And I feel like if Disney made more stuff for like weird sects of people like that, it would be a little bit better. But
sex or sex?
SEC.
TS. Yeah, okay. I heard sex. I was like, what?
I can't talk. I'm sorry.
No, I just didn't hear you right. That's my bad. We don't have headphones that have
cool.
monitors in
It's
there.
cool, dog. Don't even trip.
You don't trip, and I won't trip. You feel?
And we won't trip each other.
Anyway,
but yeah, anyway, I just feel like they don't have enough shows like that kind of appeal to a certain audience, because Mandalorian is a very universal show. I feel like it appeals to a lot of people, even outside the Star Wars fandom, which is huge. So, I definitely feel like that's good for them. But the fact is, they only have that one show. It's like if Netflix only had House of Cards, you know?
Yeah, which, I mean, for the time they did, but if you look back at Netflix's past, and you look at the... That's weird. There's like a motorcycle outside. But if you look
Comment
back
down below if you can hear it.
Yeah, for real. Comment vroom vroom if you can hear it outside. But here's the thing, right? Is that Netflix, going back, they only had a couple shows like Mandalorian. It was House of Cards and Orange is the New Black. Those were the two at the time.
Wasn't there another one?
There might have been, but those are the two biggest ones at the time, and they ran for a couple years. But the very fact that they put out two very strong ones at the start, and they kept releasing them every year, and it was regular, that saved them. And they strived every month, taking a deficit in price to make sure that they could build the brand. Because Netflix's ability to take risks is something that Disney could do, but they just haven't done yet.
I don't even know if Disney really can take too many risks, just because they are the family-friendly brand, and there's nothing wrong with that, except it does limit the kind of content they can make. The thing about Netflix is that, like, it is like the Wild West. Like, there could be anything on Netflix, and that's something that I feel like a lot of people enjoy about it. Disney is completely different. There are a lot of strict rules that you have to follow. There's nothing on Netflix that is over PG-13.
So I mean, it's Disney's downfall will be their creativity, which is ironic for Disney. But
Yeah,
if they can't figure out how to bend this platform to make people not focus on the fact that it's Disney, which, I mean, it is their brand, but I'm saying, like, if they can't move people's minds to, oh, this is a Disney streaming service, instead of moving it towards a idea of, oh, this is a good streaming service where I can find good shows, then they're going to lose everyone, because they can't work off the fact that it's Disney forever. It won't survive.
That lure is not gonna last. I mean, I don't even know how long that's gonna last. It's not much longer.
Especially because it kind of seems like Disney Plus, like Netflix, always finds a way to look new, and it always finds a way to bring new energy to everyone who watches it. But I feel like Disney, like, there isn't enough change whenever I go to the site and to the app where I'm just like, yeah, I can stay here for a little bit. Yeah. But I will say, I said this a couple months ago. And you disagreed with me. And I remember this because
like the aesthetic,
the aesthetic and the fact that they shrunk the icons. Did you notice that? Because I called that. I said they need to shrink. I said they need to shrink the icons to make the appeal of looking at the website easier. And then they did it. And I was like, good. So at least I knew something about this marketing ploy, because that means that they understand that having smaller icons means that you look at more things and it looks fluent.
I mean, that's the thing about Disney, though, for me personally, is like, if I go to Disney Plus, I'm looking for something, which is why I didn't think it was a big deal. Because I'm like, if I go to Disney Plus, I am looking for Star Wars. I am looking for Marvel. I am not, like... That's why, like, I'm not browsing. Like, with Netflix, you have no idea what you're going to get. There's so many things on Netflix. So, like, you browse, all the icons are small. You get, like, little trailers to see what it's about. With Disney, I just don't feel like that's a good use of their time. Because when you go to Disney, you are looking for something. Whether it be The Simpsons, Toy Story, Mandalorian, Marvel movies. It's just, like... I feel like it's not necessarily the same style of, like, oh, let's just browse. Like, there's no... Like, when you go on Netflix, you can just look for hours at shows and movies and just be like, oh, and then never even end up watching anything. With Disney Plus, there is none of that. Well, you are going to find something.
Well, there must also be something else wrong with it, too, because Disney Plus is competing with people like CW Plus, or I just say Plus because I don't know what they're called, but the CW streaming service and the ABC, you name the network, they probably have a streaming service. And the fact is that Disney looks unappealing compared to those other networks, because with those other networks, you know what you're looking for, but you get it, and yet you still like the platform. I feel like I just don't like Disney Plus. There's something uniquely wrong about this service where it just doesn't come off as well as I would like it. I feel like they put so much time and effort into their other projects, like the movies themselves,
Okay.
and the parks. Where this doesn't have the same Disney flair that their other stuff has.
So here's my question to you: do you think the platform will improve when they add more originals, such as the Marvel originals? Because I am not gonna lie, I think it will to an extent, because those Marvel originals look really good. But at the same time, I feel like I'm going to compare them in my head to the other Marvel originals that came out on Netflix, which I thought were amazing. Well, I don't know. Yeah, they were pretty good.
I mean, I don't know. I think in terms of the platform getting better, I mean, it's safe to assume that if they make better content, they can make it better. But I still stand with what I said a couple months ago, where there is something unique about what you're looking at when you look at Disney Plus that needs to change. I think in the next couple years, in order to survive, they need to have a brand remodeling or something. Because the way Disney Plus looks to me now, I can't see this I can't see this bringing in more people every year. Netflix just looks better. It has the proper aesthetics of the streaming service, and at the end of the day, everybody has to compete with Netflix, and nobody will ever beat Netflix because of the way Netflix is hungry to bring in more people. And Disney Plus, it may be Disney, and Disney may be one of the biggest brands, but they just will never hit that mark. And I mean, it's impressive. Netflix deserves so much credit for what it is, and the fact that they keep doing well. I mean, just this week they added a new service where every week you can see what stuff made the top 10, and it'll show you what position it was in the top 10. So they basically took YouTube's idea of trending tab, and they made their own version of it.
Except better.
Where you can see, because they used to have the trending scroll on Netflix, but this is better because now
you see physically what is popular,
and you can actually tell if it is trending or not, or if it's just another ploy to recommend stuff to you.
Like Angry Birds 2. You're probably not going to watch that, but it is on the top 10.
Yeah, because I think it got dropped this week or something on Netflix. So it is a definite good thing for them to do, and it's stuff like that, and that has nothing to do with their programming. It's just an aesthetic. Where if Disney did more stuff like that, they would bring in more people. And by the way, making more aesthetic decisions is an adult move that could draw in adults to the platform. It's not just putting child's content. Right now, when I look at Disney Plus, I kind of just see a dumping ground, which kind of just makes me sad. Like, I just see a heap where Disney's like, well, we'll continue to make the movies because our game is still in theaters. It's not like we're transitioning, but we are going to put all this stuff on Disney Plus eventually. So keep your subscription, because Rise of Skywalker will be on there soon. Onward, which is coming out next month, that will be on there soon. All this stuff will be out, and you'll get it. But just keep our platform as like a secondary. And a secondary is never going to compete to Netflix's primary goal.
Yeah, because here's the thing, is I feel like Netflix has replaced TV to a certain extent. You know, like there were tons of people when it first came out that were like, yeah, I don't need TV, I have Netflix. And I feel like that's a fair assessment. With Disney Plus, I would not feel comfortable just having Disney Plus, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like it doesn't have the same variety.
I mean, I think that goes back to the fact that having Disney Plus as your only thing is the same thing as saying, like, oh, I only have ABC Premium as my only source of television.
Which is just dumb. Like, what would you even watch with ABC Premium? Like, gosh, like sitcoms and...
Yeah, or Once Upon a Time if it was still around. But, yeah, I don't know. I think Netflix just does it better. I gotta commend Netflix, because they will just always have my attention over Disney Plus. I mean, I'm sure Disney Plus is a godsend to parents because they have something for their kids to watch that isn't like a kid's version of a different website. Like they no longer have to use Netflix Kids because they can always show kids programming. But I would put a good bet on two things. Number one, in the next couple months or a year, they will drop their price at least $1. I would bet money on that. My next bet is that in the next couple months to a year, in a year and a half, Disney's going to make an announcement that says something along the lines of Disney Plus is going to be changing, or here's our line. They're going to make an announcement like, here's our lineup for the next couple months, and they're going to play upon the idea of certain things reaching critical acclaim, so they're going to promote those things like any studio would. But I think Disney knows how to do it better, so they are. And speaking of critical acclaim, I want to move on from this streaming thing, because I feel like we're re-talking about stuff that we already talked about. Basically, Netflix just owns the game of this, and they will for a long time.
But somehow are losing money. Go figure.
Yeah, but I think even if they lose money, they'll stick around forever. I mean, Disney lost money a bunch of times, but and they will with this Disney Plus. Anyway, so I think the next thing that I want to talk about is the Black Widow movie because let's go back to this list of films because the Black Widow movie comes out. It's in May or something?
It's in May. It's like May 22nd.
May 22nd is SpongeBob the movie Sponge on the Run. So that is incorrect. Let's see. What is this? Black Widow comes out the 1st of May.
Oh, wow, it's way off.
So, Black Widow, I feel like this is Marvel's first misstep. I think we can safely assume that because it's not a good filler between movies. I think the Black Widow movie is not going to pull what they need to pull. I think that this whole year is bad movie central because I think that there are a lot of like weird decisions in terms of the industry. I think the movie industry this year in 2020, they're kind of taking a break. They're stepping back because like for the past 2 years, 18 and 19 and 17, I guess, they had a lot of great picks and they put everything out. And I think 2020 is a good break to regroup, get our money straight, get it back together, and then put stuff out 2021 onward. So 2020 is just stupid with movies.
I don't know. I mean, I definitely agree with like the big boys, so to speak. Like, yeah,
Disney,
just
Marvel,
like big blockbuster movies. Yes, but I don't know. I feel like I'm very much looking forward to Onward. I feel like that'll be an interesting movie to watch. And it's another movie that's like I think it's called Soul. It's a Pixar movie.
Does that come out this year?
I think so. If it doesn't, it's fine. But like, basically, I know it was announced, and I'm looking forward to that movie.
Well, the thing about it is that you're right, and the reason you're right is because these big studios put out movie after movie after movie in all these previous years, and now that they're stepping back to regroup for the next fight in the coming years, now we get to see all these other studios come forward because they finally have a chance for views in the theater. So there are stuff that I'm looking forward to, such as here I saw it down here in the later part of the year. I'm looking forward to Tenet, which is Warner Brothers. That doesn't really count. But I'm also looking forward to what is this movie? It was down here.
Monster Hunter. I always forget that's coming
out. I just saw it. Suffice it to say, there are a bunch of movies by smaller companies that are coming out. And
I'd say The Purge 5.
Soul is coming out. It's coming out in June.
Oh, okay.
Wonder Woman 1984. Artemis Fowl. I think that's going to be interesting.
SpongeBob the movie.
Yeah, I don't know. But I think Jungle Cruise, I'm really looking forward to Jungle Cruise, but that's just because that's a Disney Park movie, and Disney Park movies have a weird glitch in their system where they always underperform because nobody's seeing a Disney Parks movie unless you like really like the parks and you want to go see it just because they're adapting a ride. But yeah, it's probably not going to be a good movie, but I'm still going to go see it and like it. Venom 2, I want to go see that.
Yeah, same here. Venom 2 looks good. Well, doesn't look good, but like I watched the first one. It wasn't
Godzilla
terrible.
vs. Kong, gotta go see that movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Because last movie, Dune. I can't wait to go see Dune.
This is Dune based on the book, right?
Yeah. December 18th is going to be the biggest day for me. I may go see a double feature because West Side Story's coming out. They're adapting it again. I can't wait for that. Then they're adapting Dune again. That's a double feature of 2 movies that are getting readapted.
And they're so drastically different.
Because both of these movies have already been adapted once. So now we're getting a second adaptation.
Hey man, I just hope they don't screw it up.
And the fact that Warner Brothers is making Dune and Amblin Entertainment's making West Side. Amblin is the same studio that brought us E.T. That's going to be and it's Steven Spielberg. That's going to be an amazing movie. West Side Story, I cannot wait to see that.
Yeah, the cards have been stacked. That's for sure.
And then Dune, let me see who's in Dune. Let's see, who do we got? Oh, we got Josh Brolin. I don't know who Oscar is. Maybe this is the Oscar guy.
He looks super familiar.
Let's see. So we got Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, Dune is just one of those things. I want to pick up the book, but I went to Barnes & Noble and they didn't really have a good, like, the little issue of Dune. I wanted to buy one of those smaller ones, but they had this mid-size with flimsier pages. Wasn't a fan.
I don't know. I don't know. The only thing about Dune is I want to read the book because I saw like a little plot thing about it and it looked really interesting. But I don't know. It's so long and I'm just worried it's mostly fluff and then I don't like books like that.
Well, and also somebody that I can say his name because he's a public figure technically. Dr. Beswick said that.
It's crazy. He's a public figure.
Dr. Beswick did say that.
What if we get a comment on this video that's like, you know Dr. Beswick?
Yeah, Dr. Beswick said that Dune is interesting because the book is nothing like the movie, and the movie is kind of almost a spoof on the book, even though it's an adaptation. Mm-hmm. It's kind of based in comedy of itself, and saying that, he also thinks that this new movie is going to be completely different than the adaptation and the book, and it's going to be its own thing. So I'm really interested to read Dune, then watch the movie Dune, and then watch this new Dune, and then compare all three. I think that'll be very interesting, and I just cannot wait for these two movies. So
well, you got to, because those are in December.
Oh, and Escape Room 2. Didn't see the first one, but that sounds like one of those bad movies that you got to see.
I don't know. I don't know how much I agree to the whole like bad movies you got to see then.
Okay, hold on. We can get back to this in a second. I gotta pee. Hold on. I'll be right back. Go. Okay, good.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so, yeah, movies. Yeah, so...
kind of lost a little bit of momentum there.
But I think, no, we got it. The momentum's back. There's no momentum. Momentum's everywhere. Momenti. Anyway, so, yeah, Marvel movies I think are going to take a dip this year because nobody's going to go see them. Everyone's done. Marvel's done. This is it. Because there's nothing to go see. The Eternals, who wants to see that? Nobody wants to see the Eternals.
I mean, I hate to agree with you because I have a lot of fun memories with Marvel movies, but like I don't know.
But it's over. Move on.
I mean, you're right. Like after Endgame, I was like I feel like Spider-Man: Far From Home was good, but like at the same time, that's Spider-Man. Like that is one of the best just franchises in general, you know.
And I don't know if we recorded the whole Spider-Man deal, but it is kind of crazy that Spider-Man was with us, then he wasn't with us, and then he was with us again.
Yeah.
Now we just get more Spider-Man.
But like that was a huge exception, you know.
But I'm so glad that.
And I part of the reason I saw that movie was just because I was like, how does this resolve? How does the end of the end resolve? You know.
I'm just so happy that the Marvel saga is over, and I think like Marvel will die out, and I'm really happy because that means that like my whole the next 20 years of my movie going isn't about Marvel. Like I can finally like feel comfortable seeing other movies and enjoying other experiences.
I mean, I see where you're coming from, but I definitely disagree that I will not be happy when Marvel movies aren't good.
I'll miss the characters and stuff, but I won't really miss the movies.
The thing is I will miss the reliability of being able to go to a Marvel movie and be like, this is going to be a good time. Whether you think the movie is good or not, you will have a good time because you will be watching a movie that is decent and funny and action packed. You know, you don't really have to think about it. It's not complicated to understand.
And the way I feel about it too is that if the movie is performing really, really well, and people are saying like it's critically acclaimed, then I would go see it. But in terms of anything else, I really don't want to see it because I just don't want to. I don't want to keep doing that.
That's what I'm saying. Like with Marvel movies, they were so reliable. But like now it's like, oh, you have maybe your Pixar movie, Disney movies that come out from time to time, and then what, you know?
Yep. So overall, I mean, I think good movie. Usually, what ends up happening is there is a release date schedule that everyone knows. Everyone in the industry knows this. January to March, you have your weakest movies because that's the kind of time frame where no one is really watching movies as much, and people are kind of gearing up for the season. Then
you know what? I even have more evidence for that because the Oscars come out in that time frame from January to March. And during that time, I guarantee, like, I'm one of these people that, like, look at the Oscars, see all the movies, and are like, I'm going to go back and watch them.
Yeah. I mean, January to March is a good time to release your DVD copies of stuff that came out in the Christmas season of the year prior. Then you have April, May are kind of wild cards because in April, May, you can get anything, and especially because
I would disagree slightly. I would say that April is a wild card, but May is almost always the beginning of summer blockbusters.
Well, I'm getting to that, but I'm saying I don't think, in terms of people producing them, I don't think they consider May a part of the summer unless you get to the end of May. And here's why I say this: it's because they're basing everything off work schedules as well as school schedules, and they know that school goes until May and June, which is why people start the block in June, because it's a safe bet for everyone that they can start putting these things out. So that's why I say April, May are kind of the wild cards, and then you get to June, and June is when the fighting kind of breaks out between all these companies, and they push their movies because they know you have all this free time, and they know you have extra money from kids going to work and just not being in the constant struggle of school. So they know that they can push these things. That's why in June and they can push action because they know that that's what's on the brains of all these people anyway because they're free, in a sense. That's why we're getting Top Gun. We're getting, I don't know what Soul is about, but we're getting Soul. We're getting in July. We're getting The Purge. That's a good movie to come out in July. We're getting Jungle Cruise.
That is a very brain dead movie to come out in July.
We're getting Free Guy, which is very action based.
And Ghostbusters.
We're getting Ghostbusters. And then in August as it winds down. So basically June, July, August is your summer. When you get to August, that's when you start winding down. It's just May and August in terms of business. Those are always the wind up and wind down of things. You can't consider the whole month because you got to be careful about that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. You wind up in late May and you wind down in late August. And so when you do that in August, we're getting things like Bill and Ted, which I can't wait to go see.
I can't wait to see that.
Bill and Ted, great. And then the last one is The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. That's the late.
But wait, is that actually a sequel to Hitman's Bodyguard?
Yes.
Yo, it's cool. I was just talking about that yesterday. I was like, wouldn't it be cool if they made a sequel to that movie? Huh.
I have no point of reference.
What?
I have no point of reference to that at all.
Well, yeah, I wasn't talking.
I know, but I have no. I can't add because
Did you ever see The Hitman's Bodyguard?
No.
Oh, dude. I don't know if you'd like it to be. I feel like you would to a certain extent. But
Lionsgate made it, and I am boycotting Lionsgate because they made Power Rangers and they never made the sequel. And then they sold Power Rangers to Hasbro, and Hasbro has yet to do anything, even though there is a high likability that they will do something because Hasbro is a toy brand and they will go crazy with Power Rangers.
Oh, I know you don't care. No, actually, never mind. I don't want to bring that up.
Why?
Because
you're afraid you're going to get roasted live on air?
Yes, I'm going to get roasted live on air.
All right.
I was literally like, oh man, and then I was like, no, you don't care. Like, there's like
I'm gonna write this down, and then you gotta tell me what you were gonna say after.
On almost 3 levels, you don't care.
Well, I'll tell you. Well, we'll get back to this after we're done. But then you get to September. It's not a wild card, but it's just kind of like murky waters. Like if you're gonna put something out in September, it better be good because these people are gonna. Movies are still in the brain, so you can go see stuff in September, but just gonna be careful with it. And then you get to October.
October's all Halloween. Well, not all Halloween, but I feel like it could be
October.
All Halloween.
October is a movie month, although it is not as movie month as we're about to get to, because October is this month where you have to be really careful what you put out, but if you put out something that's in the realm of fear, you're good to go, because that's what people are thinking about in October. People are ready to go see movies.
Literally, scary movies come out in October. They can be literal hot pieces of garbage, and they will still make money just because of the time that they come out and how the movie is laid out and presented.
Yeah, so you just have to be careful in October, just like how you have to be careful in May.
I hope all the studios are listening. This is like gold.
And then you get to November and December, and this is the biggest moment of the year for every studio, because this is the final time to put out your movies for the year, and
I feel like
people are gonna go see movies.
I feel like this is when people go for awards too, because you always notice that like movies that come out in like the later half of the year usually get more awards than the ones that come out before.
Yeah, and the reason they get awards too is because it's on people's minds because they just saw it. And so November, December, people are staying indoors. They'll go out to your movie because of movie theater comfortability. They'll go see these movies. They'll have a good time, and they don't have to be outside like the summer ones. So November, December, that's when if you're gonna make a good movie, especially if you're Disney, that's when you put it out. Is during that time, which is why they're making Clifford the Big Red Dog again. Anyway, nice. That's why you have a Marvel movie coming out in November. Then you have this one, Raya and the Last Dragon. Then you have... I'm just looking for Disney right now because I was trying to figure out who all Disney movies making. And then in terms of Warner Brothers, you have 2 Warner Brothers, Godzilla, you have King, Richard, and then Paramount's making Clifford. I mean, these are all the biggest names in Hollywood. And then in December, you have Paramount and Warner Brothers. It's interesting. Disney's not in this at all, and Disney always makes like something related to Christmas or something. That's why they made Mary Poppins in December. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, that's seeing something like this where Disney's not involved in December. That's how I know 2020 is a weird month for movies, because like they're taking a break in the biggest time for them to make money. So that is a weird thing. And also, speaking to these blocks, it also goes back to the Netflix discussion where Netflix is not necessarily bound by these rules, but yet at the same time they play to this because anybody who makes content, YouTube as well, can play to this as well. That's why as soon as summer starts, a bunch of YouTubers will put out more content. They'll put out better content. They'll push themselves more because those summer attention hours for younger audiences, that can make you for the entire year if you play it right.
Yeah.
Especially on YouTube with retention time and watch minutes and all that.
And also just like the general audience of YouTube is mostly like adolescents, so
if you can pull the numbers with this kind of schedule, then it will work out. But it is kind of sad that YouTube is doing this whole thing with the American laws where child branded content is now going to be demonetized, and it's going to be automatically associated with non-monetary gain. And it sucks because there are a lot of people that make child friendly content in the hopes that it's family oriented, so that way the whole family can watch. They can make money from anybody who's not swayed one way or the other, politically, religiously. And so now that YouTube's doing that, it's putting YouTube in this weird murky area where you can't get too extreme to an adult side because you'll get demonetized for stuff like language and violence, and you can't go too kids because if they even get a scent of the fact that it's a kids oriented thing, they strike a demonetization. Your comments are disabled. You can't even minimize the window to scroll at other stuff because it'll automatically pause because kids content cannot be multiplayer. So it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what YouTube's trying to do with that whole thing. Like, it's definitely like they're trying to find the middle ground, but the problem is that I really feel like years ago they should have picked one or the other. You know?
Well, that's the whole argument.
They should have kept it with like, they should have kept it the Wild West, like they did way back when, or they should have moved to a like highly censored website. But I feel like in either one of those situations, I don't know. I feel like they definitely, for me personally, they should have gone Wild West because I know another website would have popped up that would have been like YouTube for kids. But they didn't do that. They were like, we want to be YouTube for kids. And then that turned into a whole problem because now they're censoring what used to be a completely free of like most censorship website. Like, you know, you get what I'm saying. Like, to an extent, like you can curse, you can play games, you can like have opinions on YouTube. Well, you used to. Now it's not like that anymore.
Well, I don't know how much you know about the entire situation of it, but just a rundown is that there is a law called COPPA, Children Online Protection Agency, something like that. And COPPA basically works to where big companies cannot seek out children for marketing, and they can't seek them out to identify them with a brand, so that way they aren't like almost indoctrinating children.
Yeah.
So when YouTube came out with their company, everything was fine and well, but they weren't making any money. So that's why people could post whatever they wanted because there wasn't any strain for them to do this. Then when the idea of companies wanting to put ads on the platform came along, it was all good and people could make their content and then get ads on them that people could watch. The problem then became when Google and YouTube started making this weird push towards the family-friendly spectrum, and also they identified that a lot of people were making YouTube accounts that weren't 13, they were under 13, which is the standard for YouTube. And YouTube made their standard 13, but then they also made a YouTube Kids program. That's where they tripped themselves up because the YouTube Kids program doesn't align with the fact that this government program doesn't want ads on any videos, no matter what they are, and the fact that a bunch of people who are supposed to be 13 aren't 13. So there was just some stuff that YouTube got into where they had to make a decision to save their brand of making money to keep the platform alive, or else they would have dropped out. So now, because they wanted to push towards child-friendly content, now they are stuck doing that, and they can't make money off of it anymore. So that means the only thing that you can do is make content that doesn't push you in either direction, but also, like, here's the rules. You can't be kid-oriented, but you can't be adult-oriented because you'd get demonetized for adult themes. You can't be politically biased because YouTube has a system where if they catch you talking about stuff like conspiracy theories, this is a good idea because we don't want to be pushing false ideas that will make people think crazy things. They put in a system where if you talk about conspiracy theories, their algorithm picks up on what you're saying, and then they will grab the article from Wikipedia that talks about something, and they'll slap it under your video, and then you have a good chance of getting demonetized that way. So you can't be politically biased. It's hard to be religiously biased, because then that is a thing.
That's a whole nother mess, to be honest. I feel like the people would probably fix that problem more than YouTube ever could.
like YouTube is getting attacked at both ends until it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller until you have this weird gray area that no one's going to want to watch. But so far, since this whole rule started in 2020 in January, so far people have been resilient and they've just kept posting what they post. But a lot of creators, sadly, have had to stop YouTube as their main job and go back to another job, like in the real world, quote unquote, because they can't do what they used to do because everything would get demonetized.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, like I said, I feel like one of their biggest issues is that they just didn't pick a side. Like, they couldn't... Like, I'm not saying they have to go extreme. But
well, that was the idea, too, is that YouTube... I mean, YouTube isn't all to blame because, yes, they made the decision to trying to go in this kid route a long time ago when that was the ad that they were pushing, that they could also be a kids platform. But it's also... They're playing to the ads because without the ads... the website wouldn't exist, and the ads will not, by law they can't go to children, and they will not go to supporting things that are too adult oriented, like the whole reason this started was because a Coke ad appeared on an ISIS recruitment video. That's how this began, this whole idea of if you're too adult oriented in certain ways, it will get demonetized, and that has gotten increasingly worse every year. So YouTube's playing to their advertisers who will pull out even if they don't necessarily think it's bad, and they also mess themselves up in the other direction. So they screwed up on one end, but they also can't help it on the other end.
I mean, that's all good. That's all fine and good. All I'm saying is that there needs if they want people to stay on this platform, there needs to be some sort of rework. Whether it's how the algorithm works or how censorship works, but there just has to be, because if they don't, then they're just gonna flop because there's nowhere to go.
Yeah, and I mean, who knows? YouTube is a wild card too, because I don't know. It just survives every year, and the content is different every minute, every second, and there's just so much. That's YouTube's.
Well, I mean,
YouTube's biggest strength is that there's so much content that there are so many avenues where they can't lose. Like people like Netflix and Disney, they can lose because of what the content is, but YouTube is this weird area where anything goes.
Well, I don't know. I will disagree that is a strength that they have, is that there's just so much content, but I would say their strongest thing is that there's no real website that's like YouTube. There's no real place where you post videos and people will watch them. There are, but nobody uses them. I feel like if not Netflix, if YouTube had if YouTube had any kind of real competition, it would be a very different story.
Yeah, but they don't, and I will say that it comes down to the fact that really quickly they made friends with their creators a couple years ago, and so that made it not today. People have a lot of problems with their website and their job today, but back in the day they made friends with their content creators, which is a good thing, and once again they have a really good way of doing things on the site, especially because YouTube basically created the interface while you're watching videos. The play, pause, the fact that every single website uses K as the pause button, that started on YouTube because YouTube's buttons used to be associated with a different kind of program that wasn't a player. So now everybody uses that because people they just assume that's how you do things. And I mean, when you click on a video, everything is so neat. You have your play button and all that on the left side. You have your full screen, and your settings on the right. That it's so simple, yet it dominates. And it's stuff like that have made the process important. Like, suffice it to say, this whole conversation can be surmised that in order to make a good content brand, you not only need to have good content, but you need to have a good interface. I mean, that's just the thing, because people may deny it, but I mean, that is the thing that pushes all these videos along. If you don't do it right, then you're screwing up before you even put content on the site. Well,
yeah.
And that's why people have a problem with YouTube's system anyway. Like the subscription page, people have always had a problem with the fact that like the stuff that you subscribe to isn't the first thing you see when you click on the website. It's always the recommended page. But I mean, who knows? YouTube might be smarter about that sort of thing than people realize, but who knows? Who knows?
Who knows, indeed.
Anyway, I think we're done, right?
Yeah.
59 minutes.
We're just about out of time.
Well, there's a lot that we didn't talk about, but that's kind of a good thing, so that we have tough stuff to talk about next time.
3 months from now.
Including the coronavirus, if we're all going to die. We may never upload a podcast again because
we could all be dead.
Yep. So anyway, thank you to the 10 people that continue to watch. We'll try to do this weekly. We said that last time. I don't make any promises anymore, but someone has a Discord now, so we can do this. Not remotely, one of the two. We can do this universally now, and that'll be all great. So thanks. You got any last words? Before I cut this off.
No, I got nothing. See y'all later.
All right, we'll see you. See you later.